All right, is Drake May in the MVP conversation? So we're entering week 8, first 7 weeks, looking at the pool of potential MVP candidates going into, we're almost like around halfway through the season. Week 8, week 9, coming up soon. Do you agree with this? This is yes or no? Is he in this conversation?
Oh man, listen, the Patriot fanboy in me will always say yes, but I think objectively speaking, uh, objectively speaking, I would say he's on the outside looking in right now. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's he's in a different stratosphere or anything like that. But just looking at it, I think that there are people that I put ahead of him deservingly so. You can see what Baker's doing in Tampa without I don't know everybody. Mike Evans goes down with the hamstring, comes back for a cup of coffee, and then gets hurt Monday night. Godwin has basically been out the entire season. I think he's played like one game, maybe two. Agbuk has been unbelievable. Obviously, of yes for that. Um, you got to throw Mahomes in, of course. Although it looked a little slow at the beginning of the year, but they kind of seem to be back with Rice coming back, and Kelsey looks anew. And listen, I know it's a quarterback award, so there's really no point in talking about them. But Christian McCaffrey is literally the 49ers. It is the CMCers. I've never he is the entire team. And then you want to talk about some shocking developments? This is not Peyton Manning's Colts, by the way. This is the Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes led. And listen, we're both in New York, so we saw how bad that was. The Colts, the Colts are the most efficient offense in NFL history. At this very moment, they are the most efficient offense in the history of better than the 2007 Patriots. That's number 2 right now. If the season ended right now, the Colts would break the record for the most efficient offense in NFL history. That's disgusting. So, and listen, like I said, I know it's a quarterback award, so CMC doesn't really matter. But Jonathan Taylor has like 100 more rushing yards than the next closest person. And the only thing the guy does is score touchdowns. 3 touchdowns last week again. So, I mean, I think that's at least 4 people. I know, obviously, Drake May and the Patriots beat Josh Allen and the Bills, but let's be realistic here. Josh Allen is going to be in that conversation. I think he still is. He had a great start to the season. But May's right there. He is. I think if the numbers, at the end of the year obviously look a little bit prettier, then we'll have a more serious conversation. Eighth in the NFL in passing touchdowns, 8th in the NFL in passing yards, 1st in completion percentage. He does a little bit with his legs, nothing too crazy, but he does. I think he does enough with his legs that it matters. To actually put it into the conversation. A 5-2 record. They're the number 2 seed in the AFC if things were to end right now. So, listen, I think that he's probably at the second table. You go to a wedding, it's kind of like the bride and groom, and then you got the best men and the bridesmaids sit together. He's probably at the table with like your 1B. He's off with your boys. Like you got a couple. You got your 2 brothers, your 2 best friends as your groomsmen, and then you got your boys. He's probably sitting with them. But listen, a couple. If I met him a couple years earlier, would have been right in the party. So I think by the end of the year, we're going to have a different conversation, especially if they keep winning, because at the end of the day, it's a statistic based award and a quarterback award. But wins go a long way, because you're not going to sit here and tell me if they don't end the season, 13-4, that all of a sudden you don't start looking at him as the MVP, especially because me and you, I think, understand the Patriot wide receiver room a little bit more. But people are going to start looking at it and that roster and being like, well, he did all that with Booty as his wide receiver. Hunter Henry, the guy that was on the Chargers that was like okay, that was always hurt. Austin Hooper, the Falcon dude. Diggs is the only name that I think a normal person in the NFL knows outside of Hunter Henry. I think people know Hunter Henry because of his time with the Chargers. Had a couple really great years there. But besides that, I think that's going to be another thing that kind of lifts up his power into getting the award. But right now, I think he's just on the outside looking in, just because I actually, and you know what? I didn't even mention another person, Dak. I know he kind of drops off in the second half of seasons. I think it's 3 straight games with 3 passing touchdowns. You're going to sit here and tell me that that's not an MVP candidate? He's playing unbelievable football. So I think there's a couple of people ahead of Drake May. Could that change in time? Of course it could. Everybody else could turn into a pumpkin the rest of the year, and Drake May can continue on, doing what he has to do. But right now, outside looking in, but it's nothing that's not obtainable.
I'm gonna say yes. I just feel like the turnaround from his rookie season to the sophomore season, first year with Josh McDaniels and this offense, the people that you said that they're definitely in the conversation for sure. But if you look at what the team was doing last year and what they're doing right now, and it's based on his play, and you're telling me that the quarterback is the most valuable position. He has the numbers to definitely put himself in the conversation. Is he going to win? Only time will tell. There has to be certain checkpoints that he has to accomplish, like win the division, have to win the AFC East. Like if you're able to win the AFC East, when everyone had Buffalo win the division, probably Miami second. Most people had the Patriots third going into the season. So if you're able to create a new narrative based on how you play, based on the games being played, it puts you in that conversation for sure. So only time will tell. He has the numbers to be talked about for sure, and the turnaround and what it takes to be an MVP. It's just that he have to keep playing well, and they have to win the division. Have to win the division for sure, no question. And then from there, that really just depends on what they do every Sunday. These games are not going to be easy. Understanding that, just because it's a turnaround, everybody's going to want to try to get a W against New England. So you have to lock in. So the way he's playing, I'm very confident that it's going to continue because he has the right coaches around him, and the way the offensive line has been playing, his chemistry with the wide receivers are going to improve. I think it's if there was to do a ranking, I'd probably have him like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
5 or 6, yeah. And I think it's going to continue to grow.